where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack Podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, you inspired me last week to go out and buy my own new microphone. Okay. I feel like now we probably should sound better, and I hopefully have a clear voice instead of, because prior few weeks I've been using the laptop microphone because my other mic broke. So I said, when you bought a microphone, I was just like, yo, I got to go buy a microphone too. So
I was going to say, what do we have going on here? Like a game of one-upsmanship?
A game of
one-ups going on here. I go get a new mic. Now you get a new mic. Now what's going to happen next week? I'm going to come with a new mic. I'm going to go get one of those fancy ones that clips to my tabletop that I could move around and have right up here, right in front of me.
Well, this is actually, I've been meaning to buy the mic. This is the Flanagan mic that he uses. And I remember because he sounded really good. And I asked him, hey, what kind of mic did you get? And he told me, and I just didn't really have the motivation to buy a new mic. But then when my last one broke, and then you went and got your own mic, I was like, man, I got to step up my game now.
Yeah, that's the mic that Rob has and Flanagan has is the mic that people without kids can afford. And the mic I have is the mic that people with kids can afford. So people are saying my mic sounds clear. That's good. I'm happy about that. Rob, how are things? How was your week, bro?
The week was good. Man. Just a normal week. Don't want to talk about other stuff that was happening. Actually had to take our show down last week because of that. I had to edit out after I spoke with the police actually Sunday night. So I actually took down our show and had to edit it and then repost it on Tuesday. So I appreciate everybody's patience on that. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this week. So we're not going to talk about anything on my end.
Yeah. It was great because people hit us up like, hey, where's the show? And it just shows me like, wow, people really expect the show. And when it's not there, they reach out. So I love it. Shout to anybody that reached out to us. Bowling with Diallo in the chat. What's up, bro? He's asking, Big Mike, what's the ball on the shelf? The ball on the shelf behind me, the green one, is an Omega Lion. Okay, it's an Omega Lion. And the story behind the ball is that I forget what year it was, but one summer at Baker Lanes in Cherry Hill, they had a strike jackpot from the winner that had rolled over, and they stopped it at $9,999 purposefully, so you didn't have to claim it in your taxes. And then they started a second strike pot. So me and Joe Paluzik, Joey a.k.a. Joey Pants, we went over to South Jersey just to bowl this doubles league just because of the strike jackpot. And long story short, I got down to the 12th shot of the strike jackpot in the third game, and I aced it. Threw a shot for $9,999, and I aced it. If I had to do it over again, I'd throw the same exact shot. And I just left a vicious ring 10 that didn't carry. And, it was one of those things where you either won the 10,000 or you won nothing. So I won nothing. And the next week, another bowler in the league hit it, or 2 weeks later, another bowler in the league hit it I would say on a questionable shot on the 12th one for sure. It was a little bit lucky, if I remember correctly. And what I did with the Omega Lion that I was throwing that night was I stopped on the Tacony Palmyra Bridge on the way home, and I threw the ball off the bridge because that's the type of mentality I had back in the day. And, I didn't really ever want to see that ball again. And then years later, Paluzik, as a gift, got me the same ball. He thought it would be funny to get me the same ball and drill it up. So I have a second one that I've never actually thrown down the lane, and it's just a conversational piece, I guess. I guess you could say. Yeah, more bowling memorabilia behind me over here. Right here is a picture of our boy Bill O'Neill. It's a good picture of the two of us when I'm in the crowd and he's bowling, and he wrote me a nice note on there. And then I also behind me, you can't see it, but I have a Philly Hitmen spare ball from the start of the PBA League back in the day. I was fortunate enough to get a hold of that one, being from Philly, and so that was cool. So I have that as well. That's plugged up and behind me as well. So little bowling memorabilia behind me. Yes, personal stuff.
I feel like I need to up my game too. Once I get back into my office upstairs, and I need to put my own little display behind me to one up your display.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, ain't too fancy like Raymore and Flanagan, bro. You can go check it out. I'm sure they still have something similar. A couple years ago, I got this, but
I want. Sorry, Nico is asking about how my rehab is doing. I actually started physical therapy 2 weeks ago, so I'm just waiting a few months before I can get stronger. But to be honest with you, I've been meaning to go bowl. I'm physically fine to go bowl right now. I just don't have the mental motivation to go bowl, Mike. It's 110 degrees out here. Putting my balls in the car, driving to the bowling alley, like it feels like such a chore, especially going to a Bolero to bowl. I just mentally lost motivation to like practice and bowl. So it's just one of those things that I'll have to figure out a time and day just to go and bowl a few games and see if something I want to do. I got asked to bowl league in the winter on a house shot, and I was considering it just once a week, 3 games, but then the house league is actually 4 games. And the extra game is going to get me out of that bowling center like another like half hour, 45 minutes later. And I just don't want to commit to a 36-week league, Mike, that is me getting home like an hour and a half past the normal time I go to bed. So I decided not to, because I know once I did it, I would have halfway through it have been like, oh, great. Like I just would have regretted it. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to bowl league for a while until if I find something that really fits me or matches like what I want to do. But right now a sport league is out of the question. I feel like I'm just setting myself kind of what you do. You go once a week, you bang your head against the wall, and then you don't practice and you don't want to go practice. And then you just bowl bad. And then every week is just it's tough to do that.
Understood for sure. All right. Let's get into why the people come here, Rob. You know why the people come and tune in every week. They want to hear the league review. They want to hear what went down in my league review. I had my worst week of summer. I think I shot 160 the first 2 games. And, I'm not going to, I don't make excuses. I should be bowling better. No question. But I'm kind of checked out. I am. I'm sort of checked out. I'm sort of over the house league setting. I'm there to kind of show up all my games, have fun, kick it with some of the people that I'm hanging with for the summer and bowling with for the summer. I'm sort of over it. I have so many thoughts. I do. I'm not even going to get into all of them here. I've expressed some of them as I've gone throughout the summer, but I guess my bottom line would be that I don't see much positive side or enjoyment to the house or recreational environment. I don't know. It's just the way I view it. I know a lot of other people don't see it that way. I respect that. I understand that. I get that. We're never going to see eye to eye. I'm never going to see eye to eye with those people, I guess, is what I'm realizing. I would not bowl a house league. I could say that going forward. There's no way I would make it through a whole season of bowling on a house league. I'm just telling you, I would not make it through the whole season. Just interest level wise, effort wise, concentration wise, frustration wise. I mean, I could look at it several different ways of why I probably would not make it through a whole season. So my interest in it is probably lower than it's ever been. And at the same time, the draw to sport bowling is kind of lower than it's ever been. Right. So I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit of a tough spot to be in. Um, I'm surprised at this point, I guess, that there's so many young people, I feel like, now in 2025 who have gone through their youth career in bowling, where they have bowled. I'm not going to say predominantly, but have bowled, have deep experience on non-house patterns, right, on sport patterns. And I'm just surprised that where we are still now today with the house versus sport balance, I'm just surprised that it's still so out of whack. I felt that, like, maybe over time, those generations of bowlers, those classes of bowlers coming up who had those experiences on sport would sort of even out the scales a little bit, so to speak. But I just don't see that happening. And I'm sure there's explanations for that, and a lot of it probably has to do with geography more than anything, and the fact that leagues are drawing from such a ultra local base. But nonetheless, I'm bowling terrible on the house. I'm my interest level is like zero. We're competitive in the league. I think next week is the last week, so I'm looking forward to wrapping it up. And I'll have more on that after we get to our next segment here, Rob. We're going to come back and touch on an additional league topic after we veer off here quickly to get into something else.
Let me ask you just something real quick. If you were to take a guess on the percentage of how many bowling centers, like in the country, actually have sport shot leagues in them, what would your guess be percentage wise?
Low.
Would you say under 50%?
Oh yeah, way under 50%. I mean, we might be talking single digits. 10%, maybe.
Gotcha. I'm just curious. I think Mike's internet's. Oh, there you go. You're back. Sorry.
I feel like it's very, very rare. I feel like we could be talking single digits.
So it's when people listen to this show and maybe they're in an area where they don't have sport leagues around them. It's sometimes you kind of feel like maybe we're talking foreign to a lot of people, because they've never been even introduced to a sport shot. Or imagine if you grew up in an area, right, and maybe there's one bowling center in an hour radius from you. Not everybody bowled up in big cities like we did. A lot of people grow up in a lot of areas that don't have a lot of population, and there's no sports shots, and you don't even know what a sports shot is. And then you're watching these pros bowl on TV or even bowl TV, and there's all this talk about it. Like, how do you even get introduced to a sports shot if you can't even drive an hour and a half to find it? I feel like, imagine like these kids now that are like, we talk about junior gold. Now imagine having a kid that loves bowling and bowls in the area and bowling in their local bowling center, and they're averaging high, they're killing the house shot. And then they go to junior gold and they don't even know what a sports shot is. Like, I feel like there is a little bit of a disconnect there when it comes to like the USBC in that sense, and the proprietors themselves putting a sports shot in their bowling centers. So I'd be curious, like, what your opinion on that.
Yeah, and first of all, let me say this. Casey in the chat is commenting about how his center has a sport league in the summer. I would definitely say, Casey, that if we're talking summer, that number would probably go up a little bit for me. I think there are more opportunities to bowl on sport in the summer than there are in traditional 36-week winter leagues. So I'll definitely throw that out there. But Rob, I guess overall, I'm just surprised that there aren't more at least opportunities to bowl sport leagues. That's all I'm saying. I just, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that we're in 2025. I live in a pretty big area for bowling. You live in a pretty decent area for bowling. We know a lot of people around the country, that live in various areas that are good for bowling. And I just think those opportunities are very, very limited, right? Very, very limited.
I want to bring this up. Patrick J in the chat says no money in sport leagues. Unfortunately, centers want 4 or 5 man leagues to get money in on sport shots. You might only get 10 max people who want to bowl on sport shots. I think that this is a really good comment. I think there's a lot to talk about in this comment, and I don't want to get too far deep into it. But I do feel like, yes, the bowling centers want more people, obviously, for their leagues. It brings more money into the bar. It brings more money into the just center in general, right? I do think that there's another topic conversation here is that bowling league in bowling itself might be one of the only sports that actually pays money for leagues, right? Like, I feel like if you go, and I could be wrong here, if you were to join an amateur golf league, is there money payouts at the end of the league like there is in bowling?
I have asked someone this, and I believe that there are golf leagues that pay out prizes. Yes,
but
there is gambling on the side as well, I've been told.
There is gambling on the side. Okay, because I feel like though, in general, though, if you were to go play like, I don't know, any kind of amateur sports out there, I feel like that's a rarity where you actually make money bowling, or you make money doing it. I feel like you pay a lot of these amateur sports, you pay the entries and you get trophies at the end of the year. There isn't really a money aspect to it. So I think money brought into the amateur ranks in general also hurt the sport in a weird kind of way. Like when there were bowlers in the 80s and 90s that were making more money bowling the high rollers and the mega bucks than actually bowling on tour, I think that really hurt a lot of the future of the sport in a sense, because the pro tour wasn't getting the best of the best. They were getting some of the best. And a lot of the bowlers, they just stayed bowling amateur ranks and were making more money than the pros were. And I feel like there was a lot of, it just wasn't good for the sport. Professional amateurs, Geostrap knows, like, you could have made more money bowling leagues, brackets, high rollers, mini eliminators, and your local tournaments and going around bowling amateur stuff than you were actually bowling on tour. And it hurt the future, a lot of it. But anyway, we can get into it. It's a lot to talk about.
No. You got started. I got to make this point. I want to follow up on what Patrick said, because it's not only just the bowling centers that want to generate money with their leagues. It's also the more serious league bowlers that want to bowl the leagues that have more money in them, whether it's prize fund money or it's side pot money. Okay. And let's be honest, a 225 average player would much rather go beat up on Mama Mia and Papa Pia in the scratch and handicap brackets in a 50-team house league, okay, than they would like to come in and bowl a sport league with, let's say, 12 teams of 3 people where there's hardly any pots and there's hardly any side action, okay? And you're right, Rob. Patrick is right, and you are right. The fact that there's all this side action allowed and brackets and all that, it factors in so much to what leagues people want to bowl that is not helping the equation at all, right? It's not helping the equation at all. There was also a comment here from Brett in the chat, Brett Groff, a new name. Haven't seen that name before. Welcome, Brett. He says, why can't you have a combination of both? Everywhere I bowl, there's not one single sport league in the fall. Raise your hand if you agree with the same thing. I mean, almost everybody's going to raise their hand. There's so few sport leagues out there in the fall, right? How have we come to this point? How have we gotten to a point where this side of the game is just going to die at that level? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm not with it. I think we, the bowling community, needs to do more to change that, right? To change that and get more opportunities for sport leagues and, to especially winter leagues over the regular course of the regular season. But We'll come back to this in a few. We have a guest tonight, Rob.
Yeah. So I don't know if you all remember last year, I bowled Robert Smith, and a match that I should have won, had it literally in the palm of my hands and lost in 5. And Carl is the tournament director for Agent Ong Open. He's running the tournament now 3 years going, the trilogy.
And sponsor.
And yeah, and we want to bring Carl to talk about the changes and some of the new stuff that's going on this year in the Agent On. It's in October. So let's bring on Carl right now and talk to Carl. Carl, what's good, man? What's happening?
What's going on, boys? How you guys doing?
We're doing well, Carl. So we wanted to bring you on just to talk a little bit about the Agent On trilogy. You got this trilogy tournament. I remember real quick, I want to do a rewind here. I want to go back to memory. Let's throw 3 years ago. Me and Carl were talking on the phone here, probably around this time before his first tournament. Mm-hmm. And Carl was all in on this tournament, and there was a lot of nerves, right? And there was a lot of like, what if people don't show, or there's a lot of like not sures, right? And I told him, look, you're doing fine. You're marketing better than any other tournament out there. You're in a good area. You're doing everything the right way. The bowlers will come, and the bowlers did come, and they showed up, and they supported Carl, and he ran a great tournament. And now you're in your 3rd year. So tell us, Carl, what is it going on? Did you think it was going to get to your 3rd year here? And put things in perspective here a little bit.
It's it's definitely surprising. Like I said, everyone has nerves, especially when you're grabbing for straws and you just made something up. Like this was just a labor of love, and I just put it all together. But like I said, there was a lot of people behind the scenes. I picked your brain, Robert Smith, and just a bunch of different players, local players, guys out on tour, just to try to put this together. And yeah, here we are 3 years later, and the action matches are still things that people look forward to now. And we with GT and Robert the first year, you and Robert last year, Brett, and Drew Kane, versus Matt Jones and Kyle King. And now we have Kyle Troop, which I just saw in the chat, as well as Matt Jones. So that's the next major action match that we're going to showcase Friday night at the tournament.
So let's talk Friday night, because they're both an action match. I heard rumor word on the street is Kyle didn't want any of this smoke over here. He didn't want to run it with me. So Matt Jones stepped in. But no,
hold on. I have to interject here. I know obviously Rob is joking, but in all seriousness, Kyle Troop is a dog when it comes to action. Okay, there's certain bowlers who I know will bowl whoever, wherever, whatever. Okay, Kyle Troop is definitely on that list. I've seen it myself. Showed up a couple summers ago. Actually, we're probably going back a while on this one, but randomly Kyle Troop shows up at Carolier Lanes on a random night to bowl a local house guy who wanted to bowl him. And Dougie happened to be there and was putting it on YouTube. So, I've seen it myself. Kyle Troop, dog, will bowl whoever, whenever, whatever. But go ahead, resume.
So, Carl, what are the stakes? What times will they be bowling? Like, what are the stakes? How could you watch it if you're a viewer?
So, we're having Emil back with Bowlstream TV. So we're excited to have Emil back. He's going to be broadcasting the entire event starting Thursday all the way through the Sunday finals.
And that's October 16th to the 19th, right?
Yep. We start Thursday, October 16th, all the way through Sunday afternoon, early evening on the 19th.
And what are they bowling for Friday night?
It's a race to 3. So it's a best 3 out of 5 and $2,500 on top. Just winner take all. There's no per game. Someone's walking away with an extra $2,500 in cash.
Will there be any extra stakes for a sweep? I think there should be some added, like whoever loses needs to run around the bowling alley naked after they lose or something if they get swept. I think there needs to be an added incentive not to get swept 3-0.
Well, all I know is you have Matt Jones and Kyle Troop in the chat right now, so they can chime in on that side of it. All I know is broadcast will be off the air, and you guys do whatever you want.
Gotcha. So let's talk about the tournament itself. 10,000 first place, right? Guaranteed. You're guaranteeing 500 load of cash.
Correct.
Right. What is the 1-in-5 cut ratio?
Yep.
Wow, which is really good. Are you making the shot as hard as last year?
We are in the works of putting it together. It'll never be easy. You're bowling for a decent chunk of change, and I don't want it to be a strike fest. I want spares to matter. I want catching a double or a 3-bagger to make it worth your while, and I want to reward breaks. I think you need them over a 6-game block. You're going to need to catch your breaks, and you're going to try to fill holes, and you're going to try to stay. Look, if you stay clean, I think you're in.
So let me tell you about my experience last year bowling. I bowled one game. I bowled, I think, a 230 in the middle of my squad. And I think I bowled 190 to like 180 the rest of the way, and I made the finals. I had one good game, and then I just grinded my way into a 1-in-5. And that one game that I bowled good, I just happened to catch a good pair, and I had a good reaction. And I made the cut. So love the shot, love everything you did there. Honestly, I walked out of there, didn't even think I was gonna even cash. And then I walked by, I remember the booth, and Timmy Mack was in the booth, and he's like, "Yo, Parashot, how'd you bowl?" I'm like, "Oh, I was minus 18 or 12. He's like, "Oh, you're soft." I'm like, "Really?" I was shocked. I was just, and then come to find out, I made the cut by 30 or some 40 pins, I think. Do you remember what the cut was last year, the overall?
I want to say it was minus 56, but we got Theo, my TD, in the chat as well. I think it was minus 56. No, I take that back. It was minus 35. I apologize. First year was 0. Second year was minus 35. We took 56 bowlers into the finals on Sunday. I will tell you this. The reason it looked a little harder regarding the cut score from 0 to minus 35, we took an extra 10, 12 bowlers from year 1 to year 2. That's how many more bowlers we had, qualifying. So naturally, the more qualifiers we get, usually it brings the cut score down because we're taking more people into Sunday. So
how are you looking this year with the pre-entries? I know bowlers are really lazy in sending in entries in general, but how are you doing with the entries compared to maybe last year at this time?
Better. I remember year 1, the night of the dinner, I just remember man, this is going to be a tough weekend because of all the pre-entries. Second year, it grew. This year, we have the most pre-signups, and we're still a little less than 2 months away. And we're always going to get our walk-ins. I advise people to sign in early just because of the simple fact that, we have 40, 50, 60 people in line, as the days go on, and it just takes us a little bit of time to process. We've never started late. I can thank Theo for that in CBE because he runs the tightest ship I have ever seen when it comes to tournament directing. I do all the marketing. I get us to the tournament on Thursday, and then after that, that's Theo's job. I'll do all the financing, and I'll make sure all the payouts go out properly. But Theo, hats off to him again. This tournament does not run without complete bowling events and Theo. Period.
Yeah, Theo's in the chat. He wrote, "Rob, bowlers are procrastinators. I've had to teach that to Carl to lower his blood pressure."
This is true. And now that I'm 3 years in, I know it's coming. But when you guarantee the prize fund and you guarantee load of cash, you start to pucker a little bit at times when you're just not sure where it's at. But, everybody, the signups have been good for sure.
Cool. And how many games they're both qualifying this year? You
Six games. 1-in-5 cut. Yep.
275 first entry. Re-entries are 175. And you do run a Desperado squad, right, on the 18th Saturday night, where you're taking 1 and 8 of just that qualifying squad, and that's $100 for a 2-game qualifier, right? So that's anybody who hasn't made it that has least bowled
2 squads.
the least bowled 2 squads. So you're there, you bowl 2 squads. I mean, what's an extra 100 at that point? You're already in for what, like 450 or something like that. So you might as well bowl the extra 100 for the 1 and 8 cut. Anything different this year? Any you got new sponsors? Anything's changing or anything updated?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, if you bowl Thursday, the squad's actually 225 for your first entry. So it's kind of like an early bird. You know, if you're in town or you're local, come bowl the Thursday squad, and it's 225, and then all your re-entries thereafter are 175. So you can save an extra $50 if you decide to put your hat in the ring, you know, Thursday. A couple extra incentives on Thursday. The Thursday morning 9 a.m. and the Friday morning 9 a.m. leader automatically gets a free sweeper that night. So just another incentive to bowl. I'm just trying to come up with new ways to give back to the bowlers, and I figured, you know, let's entice people to show up early Thursday and Friday morning, and you lead the squad. You're just bowling, free rolling for an extra 1,000 that night.
Yeah, and anybody doesn't know, Thursday night they have a sweeper, a 6 p.m. and an 8 p.m. It's $1,000 guaranteed. Friday night, the same thing, $1,000 guaranteed, 6 and 8 p.m. It's 1 and 6, beat the board.
Yep, that's it.
So, I mean, you got a lot going on for someone who's going to come in for a weekend to bowl. You have a chance of winning $10,000 the main tournament. You could win $1,000 for a sweeper Thursday night, $1,000 Friday night, and then I'm imagining there's brackets and pots and. I
mean, I'll give you an example. Darren Tang, I think before the Sunday finals, he was already like $3,000 up, $4,000 up. Sam Cooley, which took second last year, I think he made over first place money. So
did Darren Tang have to give any of that percentage to his video editor, ex-business partner? Just curious. No,
I am so Switzerland on that, bro. I am so Switzerland on that.
I'm just kidding, man. I just had to bring it up.
Rob can't resist. Rob can't resist.
I know
you just teed that up so perfectly for Rob. He just couldn't help himself.
And I'll tell you, from my point of view, I have no opinion on that. I'll tell you that both Jesse and Darren were at my event last year, and they're both great to me. Is all I can say. So
I'm gonna assume you're not. I'm gonna assume Darren might be there, but I'm gonna assume that probably Jesse's not gonna be there, unless he's bowling himself. But
no idea. I plead the fifth. I have no idea.
So next question here. Sponsors, any new sponsors you brought in this year that you haven't got last year?
So we have a couple of returning sponsors, obviously Rotogrip, Acclaim Garage Doors, like shout out to Michael RC for that. New sponsor, major player for us this year has been Schroeder Family Electric. Tony Schroeder, awesome guy, huge electrician out here in the Valley for commercial and residential. But somebody that Kyle Troop introduced me to, his sponsor, First Form. We are actively working something out where First Form will be in the building for the Agenong Open, and they will be sampling protein bars and beef sticks and, just all their offerings from First Form. So I'd like to thank Kyle Troop and Dave Hintz for that. So looking forward to having those guys out, later this year.
Carl, you said the magic words for me, protein. I might have to drive down to Kyrene just to check out some protein supplements that Form is going to bring. That's awesome. Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know or is listening for the first time, it's going to be in Chandler, Arizona. I don't think we mentioned that, at the Bolero Kyrene, which has been really good to you guys there. Seems that they've ran a pretty good tournament for you guys. I haven't seen really any issues with the Bolero down there. So I'd imagine if Carl saw issues that he would have, thought about making some changes. So real quick, Carl, before we start getting you out of here, I have to ask this question. Is there any plans, if going forward, to maybe have a bigger type style tournament where you're expanding the 10,000 prize fund, maybe bringing it to a Vegas and maybe creating some kind of mega buck? Or has that thoughts been in your head, like maybe I can make this thing bigger?
If it's kind of like that Field of Dreams quote, right? If you build it, they'll come. I don't know if I'm there yet. You know, I mean, we are having great growth. Theo, you know, and I are talking about a third event next year. We are working together collectively to create a third event, to see if we can put something together between his Cactus Classic and the Agenong Open. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of always kind of daydreaming and putting pen to paper. But you know, we're really methodical about how we do it. We don't ever want to just throw things to the wall and hope they stick. We are going to talk to the people. We're going to pick people's brains and really just see how we can make sure that whatever we floor, it's going to be beneficial to the bowlers and you know, draw a good amount of people to come out and bowl.
And for anybody who's listening out there, this tournament is for a lot of bowlers. I wouldn't say for all bowlers, but there are definitely the divisions. There's a 209 and under division where if you're in a 20, no, I'm sorry, there's not a division. It's you get pinned. There is a division.
There's no divisions, just pins.
Just pins, right? That's what I was saying. And so if you're 209 and under, you get 7 pins a game. If you're 210 average and you're senior 55 or a woman, you get 5 pins per game. Right. And then if you are 210 average PBA member, you're bowling scratch. I hope so.
Correct.
We can't be giving Kyle Troop 5 pins a game. I mean,
Kyle gets 0.
Kyle gets 0.
Yes,
Matt
Kyle
Jones gets 0.
Gets 0.
Is there like for someone like me, could I get handicap? I think at this point I need handicap. I bowled 3 games in the last 8 months. Is there like a I've been injured like division, or like I'm just can't make a single like, pin spare division?
You're looking kind of for like a commissioner's exemption with sticks kind of thing, right? Is that what you're looking for?
That is exactly what I'm looking for. So can we think about creating that? Someone maybe like Mike, who misses 5 single pin spares a night in his league, maybe like a spare percentage where you could show the tournament director how bad of a spare shooter you are and you get like 10 pins.
I mean, I guess we could always pull out rules to see what we can do.
We call it the hack division, and then you can get 10 pins a game or something. We'll talk off the air. I think it's a good idea.
I think I can give you a couple pins if you pay double.
Ooh, that's interesting. I don't know. That's kind of like what you're betting, right? Like on the betting apps.
No, and people are going to probably pick that apart and change that context. So no, you cannot have extra wood. Sorry.
I don't know if they can.
Let's clarify that now before someone pieces this apart.
I'm thinking like
Carl said this.
500 for the entry, but I'm getting 20 pins a game for 10 grand. I might do it, honestly. Precision Diesel Injection says need a doubles agent on. That's an interesting team tournament. I mean, these are interesting things. I think you and Theo need to sit down and be like, people love themselves some team bowling.
You know,
I really believe that.
You know, I'll put it to you this way: doubles is not a bad idea. It doesn't mean that we're talking about it. It doesn't mean we haven't talked about it. So it could be a really good guess. It could just be So Theo's like, see, I can't say much.
I think like this is the only time I might support like a 5-man team tournament, because like I hate 5-man team. I've been on record saying like I can't stand when like leagues have 5 men on it. But I think like a tournament where there's 5 people is interesting, where you then have introduced the Bakers format to it right after. But I don't know. We're just kind of shooting from the hip at this point.
No, so I will tell you one thing that I've always loved, would try to do one day if I can get enough people involved to help. I would love to bring a format kind of like back with World Team Challenge. I think that was probably some of the funnest bowling I've ever got the chance to witness. Now, I never participated, but just watching all the different teams that people put together and the amount of talent that came out from all across the United States, I just think World Team Challenge is an event that I miss watching.
And I do think your shot is definitely hard enough to be a World Team Challenge. So you have that on point. And then you add a mix of 10 people on a pair with how hard your shot is.
Right.
And it is going to be great for brackets. 170, 190 winning brackets, shooting 620 for a set of 3 and winning a lot of brackets. Oh, I love the thought of a World Team Challenge. And yeah, I used to love watching those shows on TV. The World Team Challenge shows were great. You guys want to go down a trip down memory lane, go on YouTube and search the World Team Challenge.
Another, not to steal your shine, Carl, but another tournament director out east in a couple weeks is running a 5-person team event, scratch team event. Greg Tack is holding it at one of a place in Delaware, Mid County, where they had the tour stop the last couple of years. And Rob, I tried to get our boy to bowl. I'm not gonna lie. I pulled out all the stops. I resorted to basically begging. I appealed. We were up the mountains, and I appealed to the entire family.
O'Neill family.
Fam, there's a tournament in Delaware that he could bowl with us, with his friends. Shouldn't he bowl? And you know what he told me? He said, "My bowling balls don't function at this time of the year." That's what he said. They don't function this time of the year.
So nothing till January for Billy, right? Nothing till January.
I agree with you guys. Like, to see something like that revived would be amazing.
I mean, to do something like that nationwide like that, I mean, that's going to be a huge collective effort by a lot of different people from different regions to put that together. But I'm on board to like chip in on that. I'm sure Theo would too. And there's goes my dog. Sorry.
No, dude. Yeah, I love it.
Dog friendly around here, bro.
I know. Well, all right, Carl. Well, we're gonna let you go. Is there any like, how do we find you? How do I pre-register?
Yeah.
Give people the rundown here, so if they need to go online, they could do that.
No, I appreciate the time, guys. agentonopen.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. But yeah, October 16th through the 19th this year out here at Bolero Kyrene in Chandler, Arizona. Like I said, if you're unable to make it, definitely tune in to Bowlstream TV. We're going to have every ball from start to finish live stream. So Emil's in for a lot of long days again, but we're really excited to have him back. And again, thank you to all our sponsors and you guys as being a sponsor of our tournament for the last 3 years. So I appreciate the platform, and thanks guys for having me.
I will be on site at Carl running our show. I believe it's a Wednesday, Carl. My standard at Carl's pool show, when I will have Kyle and hopefully both Kyle and Matt Jones on to do a little preliminary weigh-in, face-to-face weigh-in, and we get to mediate that. Last year, I was part of the weigh-in when I was able to talk a little bit of a smack to Robert, and that match still haunts me till this day. I still wake up with nightmares of that 210 I left in the 9th. But Carl, we appreciate, man. I wish we had 1,000 Carls across the bowling world running tournaments like this. We appreciate Theo running tournaments. I wish I could go bowl. Maybe one day I'll be able to strap on the shoes again and go bowl. But we appreciate the time, Carl. And yeah, check out that website and get your entries in.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Big Mike, is always a pleasure. We'll get you out here one day.
That ain't happening. All right, Carl. Take care. See you
guys. See ya.
Later.
I don't know if there's enough handicap in the world to get me out there, though. I don't know. Man,
one day we got to get you out of New Jersey and start putting all those sports shot games you bowl every week.
Listen, I'm going to be traveling quite a bit this year. Not out by you, but I'll be traveling quite a bit. So
can we make a deal to 1 year us put a team together for the USBC Open Championship?
Sure.
Just to go 1 year, when it's in Vegas, right? We go to Trip for a quick weekend, 3 days. We get maybe I don't know, whoever, right, wants to bowl. Maybe get my brother. I'm sure he'll bowl. He hasn't bowled in 5 years. I'm sure we could get him to strap the shoes on. We just piece together. Maybe you get Fagan. Like, you know what I mean?
We'd have to give some thought. We'd have to give some thought to the teams. Yeah, for sure.
But I think that would be
we
fun.
could do that if you're interested in that at some point.
I would do it just to have fun, to beat our heads in on a sport on that shot for 9 games. But back to Carl's tournament. I mean, we can't say it enough every year. Man, this is a great tournament. They makes the shot really hard. I'm from my personal experience at bowl last year. I was able to find a pretty good look, and I was able to ride it to the finals. And I walked out of there making almost double. I think it was almost double my money. I think that 230 game, I won the pot. So I got money back from that. And it's just one of those tournaments where, yeah, just find the pocket, stay around it, make spares, and you could like ride into a top 16, even to a top 8, and maybe even win. And how hard he makes the shot, it's like you have a chance to beat the best in the world. All you got to do is just make spares and make shots. But it's one of those type of tournaments, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I won't be surprised if he gets a pretty good turnout from like the your professional level bowlers. For no other reason, Rob, than it's been a tough couple of years for some of these guys. Tackett has been dominating, winning the bulk of the money out there, right? And I won't be surprised if guys are showing up to a tournament like this, with a $10,000 first prize, because that's a nice chunk of change if you've had a rough go of it out on tour.
For sure. And Kevin's in the chat asking me what my health situation, are you be able to bowl pain free? I'm never probably ever going to be able to bowl not or pain free again. It's just managing it at this point. The truth is, right now it's more mentally. I don't really want to go bowl. I'm not really motivated. So I'll let you know when I could start bowl, like when I start bowling again. But yeah, I think I'm okay. I'll deal with it. Just managing it is the hard part for me, especially after I think Carl's tournament is the one who put me on the shelf, by the way. So I could thank him for that when I see him, because of how many shots I threw. I was throwing 2 shots every frame, Mike. It doesn't really help when you're, trying to throw as less shots as possible. But yeah,
that way for sure.
There will be a lot of pros, I would imagine, that show up. But there is a lot of top amateurs too that show up too, like guys who should be on tour, can be on tour. Guys like, Matt Jones, Kyle King, Andrew Kane, obviously, Brett Wolf. I mean, these are the guys that live around my area. So it's whenever you bowl a big tournament out here, or even an amateur tournament, you're going to have to beat those guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm looking forward to checking it out, and definitely keeping an eye on it as the action unfolds over that weekend. So Rob, we're gonna keep it moving. We appreciate Carl stopping by. I want to go back for a second, Rob, and I want to touch on this league situation. Somebody in the chat, I forget who it was, brought up. It was asking if I was going to be. Oh, it was Nico. Nico was asking in the chat if I was going to be bowling the Tuesday Night Sport League this year, and I'm gonna suffice to say that I'm being told that the Sport League is good and that it's going to get off the ground. We have to change some things. Some adjustments need to be made due to issues with the bowling center for the most part. I want to bring up real quick. I just want to show you all the flyer for the league that's forcing my Sport League to make these changes. It's making things really tough on us. This is the league that is expanding.
Hold on, let me read it for the people on audio.
It's the Fool's Pleasure League.
Hold on, let me read it.
Fool's Pleasure
Strathmore Tuesday Night League, 34-week, 4-person mixed league. So it's essentially a low average fun league.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it looks like, despite having to make some changes and adjust some things, it looks like the league is going to be successful and get it off the ground. However, I'm being harped on, is the phrase I'm going to use, to bowl in some house leagues this winter. So I was having a conversation with someone the other day. Okay. And they said, "Oh, well, if I join this house league, there's a 50 some team house league one night of the week around in our area." And this person that I was speaking to was saying, "Well, if I join this 50 some team house league, I'm going to be bowling the house league with a couple people that are probably, they're coming in with 160 averages, okay, and we're not going to be competitive in the league." All right. And my point off the bat to this person was, no, that's completely the wrong way to look at it. You actually should look at it like you have a really good chance to win the league, because if these people come in with established averages of, let's say, 160, all you need to do is teach them how to make a couple single pin spares, and they're going to be 180. And now they're all bowling 20 pins over their average that they came in with, and you should be doing really well. You should easily be winning matches, right? So this person tells me, well, no, that's not how it would work. That's not how it would go. And I said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, even if they came in at 160, after the first 3 weeks of the league, they would readjust their average. And if they're now bowling 180 because they're making a couple more single pin spares per game, their average after 3 weeks would be 180. And now they're giving or receiving handicap based off of that 180, based off of the handicap formula for that league, whatever it is. I would say most leagues is probably 80 or 90% of 230, right? So that seemed completely unreasonable to me. Now,
Okay.
That set me off. That set me off in having to go to other people and ask them if this is common for leagues. Okay. And I called you first and said, yo, this situation, is this what you think? Is this how you think most leagues run? And you were like, no. You were like, no, if somebody has an established average from that league of the previous year of 160 and they come in, they should be 160 for the better part of the year, even if they're averaging 180, because they improved upon that. Okay. And we had this conversation, right? I then call another person and they tell me, no, you and Rob are both wrong. You're both wrong. This is how the majority of leagues run in terms of averages and how they do things. After 3 weeks, they re-rate everyone, even if you came in with an established entering average. So my question to that was, well, then what is an entering average worth? It's not really worth anything. My next question was, okay, if there's a re-rate after week 3, then aren't you telling me that it's in everyone's best interest? Everyone in the league. It's in every person's best interest in the league to bowl subpar the first 3 weeks. Then on top of that, the person tells me, oh, yeah, well, a lot of these leagues, and I was aware of this aspect, have a 10-pin drop to where in those first 3 weeks you can drop 10 pins. So this person was telling me, oh, yeah, like whenever I bowl a handicap league, if I come in 220, I'm not shooting more than 630 the first 3 weeks because I want that extra 10 pins back. I want that extra 10 pins back so going forward I can then bowl and raise my average. Okay? So through this conversation, I'm realizing more about how a lot of these leagues across the country are constructed today, and realizing that the USBC actually stands behind this nonsense and is complicit, I would say, in creating this type of environment. But I have to say, Rob, I am absolutely blown away by this.
Okay, so I just want to
maybe it's because I haven't bowled handicap leagues. I don't pay attention to the rules of handicap leagues or how things are done. But if this is the way things are being done, no wonder bowling is dying.
So I got a question. So in this situation, if I averaged 100 and 5 games last year, I averaged 160. Okay, so set it up. I entered this year, September, with 160. It was my highest league average from last year at 105 games.
Okay.
If I bowl 600 my first 3 games of the new season, then my week 2 average is going to be 200.
Well, that's what I put out on Twitter. That's the example I put out on Twitter. And a lot of people got back to me and said, well, the better example would be after 3 weeks. Okay, after 3, because most
it gets re-rated after 3 weeks.
Re-rate after 3 weeks, not after 1 week. But to answer your question, though, Rob, what I'm so shocked, here's what I'm so shocked by, especially in today's day and age where, to me, it's the data is so easily available, right? If you averaged 160 for how many games did you say? 100 games?
100 games for the sake of it.
You averaged 160 for 100 games. Let's say 99 games, 33 weeks you bowled. You averaged 160 for 99 games, okay? If you shoot 600 week 1, then your average, to me, in my opinion, if it's in the same house, it's the same league, most things are equal, right? Your average should be 160 times 99 plus 600 divided by 102.
Yeah, that's not the way they're going to do it.
No, well, why? Why? That's ridiculous.
Because it's a new season. It just counts as a new season. It starts from 0. I'm just saying that's not how they do it. I'm not saying that's how I should do it. I'm just saying that's not how they do it. They establish either how I remember the handicap leagues is if you average 160 and you come into the fall September, you start at 0 games, and then either you get your new average after 9 games or 21 games. That's why everyone dumps. That's why everybody doesn't like.
I don't know. It just makes really little sense to me of why you would take all that data that you already have, especially in this. I understand that if at a certain point we were doing it that way because of a lack of available data. I get that. Totally understand that. But what I'm saying now is that the data is so easy to track and the data is so easy to see and find that we should be able to give a better composite picture of what a bowler's real average is, whether it's sport or house, doesn't even matter what we're talking about here. We should be able to give a better picture of what a bowler's composite average is based on all the historical data that we have on these bowlers. And if somebody, I'm just blown away by all this because if being the way it is, right? Basically what you're telling me is that if you average 160 for 99 games and you go out over the summer and you take some lessons, you're going to get punished for that when September comes around. Okay? If you're bowling better those first 3 weeks, you're then going to be re-rated right away. The improvement that you made has no bearing on anything. It's now like you're starting from scratch. You're starting over from that step. And the guy who you're bowling against, he's going to purposely miss a few spares throughout his night so that he goes from 220 to 210 and gets closer to you.
So, yes, but here's what the really good dumpers do, or the sandbaggers, is they keep the average low and they get games under their belt, right? So let's just say you have 60 average.
Right, because the more games you bowl, the harder it becomes to raise the average with a good series, right? I mean, this is standard stuff, right? Okay,
standard sandbagging. And then as soon as you get the games under your belt, now you're stuck at 160. Now, if you bowl a 650, your average is going to go from 160 to 200. It's going to go from 160 to maybe 163 or 5, depending on how many games you have under your belt. So I get what you're saying, but look, the bigger picture, the handicap system in bowling in general is a broken system. It's a broken system. I mean, everybody knows that. It's a very known fact in the bowling world. Now, how to fix it, that's a whole nother conversation that I couldn't even start to have, because I don't know. I know years ago, I know Mike Fagan put out something talking about how the handicap system's broken and how he would fix it. And I think there was a very good article or somewhere he wrote about it. And I would love to be able to try to find that. But the handicap system is broken in bowling. I mean, it's just fact. Now, I really wouldn't know how to fix it, but I get what you're saying.
Can I make a suggestion just to see what your reaction to it is? Well, first of all, I want to throw out this suggestion from somebody on Twitter. Pepper Sky on Twitter hit me up in response to this, something that I put out. And he said, our league does, and I'll read you my original tweet. I said, a bowler enters a handicap league this fall with an average established from the same league the previous year for 108 games. They enter with a 160 average. The first week of league, they shoot 570. What should their average be in week 2 for calculating handicap? 160.8 or 190? Okay, and it's almost 50-50. I put a poll up, and it's almost 50-50, and that has 62 votes. So Pepper Sky responded to that, and he said, our league, and I thought this was a really good idea, our league does a weighted average for 30 games, entering average times 30 games. Each week, the actual score replaces a week of the entering average. So after 5 weeks, your average is 15 games of your scores from that year, plus 15 games of your entering average divided by 30 games. Okay.
So they did a base,
by 10 weeks in, your actual average for that year takes over. Okay. So I think like something like that could be like that. Right. I would call that a small correction, right? I have a more radical idea. I don't know what people would think about this, but this is how deep I've gone on this after hearing that this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Really? U.S. Chad, this is what we're allowing. This is what we're encouraging. We're encouraging people to dump the first 3 weeks of every league season.
3 weeks.
Gain the 10-pin drop at an average for handicap. I mean, this is a joke.
3 weeks. It's a lot longer than 3 weeks, believe me.
Well, I'm just saying for the 10-pin drop, right? Like you want that 10 pins back week 3. So you're going to make sure that you're managing it that way. I mean, this is just the fact that we're just talking about all this is just so dumb, right? But here's what's one thing that came to mind for me. Should handicap not be calculated until the league is over?
Wow. But how would anybody know if they won or lost?
You wouldn't.
That's a terrible idea.
Why?
How do you know if you're bowling? Like, how do you do position weeks? And how do you figure out who's going to win? So at the end of the year, everyone sits in the banquet and like.
I think you would have to get rid of position weeks and just do a regular schedule. Okay. I think you would probably have to add some sort of like 4-team playoff in the last 2 weeks, right? You'd have to tweak the format a little bit, but here's how it would work. You would bowl, let's say you would bowl 34 weeks, okay, with blind handicap, where everyone is trying to bowl their best and knock down the most pins that they possibly can, okay? And then at the end of week 34, based on the averages that everybody has at that time, after 34 weeks, the handicap gets established and run for the whole league for the whole year. And now the league standings get printed out after 34 weeks. Okay? And the last 2 weeks, first place bowls, fourth place, second place bowls, third place with the handicap as it stands at that time.
I mean, I don't hate it as much as I did when you first said it. I think the playoff maybe makes it a little bit more interesting. I'd probably like to see it start earlier and maybe do like, if depending on how many teams there were in the league, like maybe you do like an 18 playoff or something like that.
If you split it in half, you could do 18 and 18.
Right. So they did something interesting where I grew up in Brooklyn to try to get rid of the sandbagging, which I noticed that they didn't do in a lot of other places. They did total wood. So like half the prize fund would be the teams that knocked the most pins down, and then the other half of the money would go to the teams that won the most points, and however the point system was. Now, people were still dumping because it's a very, very big. People do it all the time in the East Coast. I mean, it's part of league bowling. If you're bowling in any leagues in the island or in New York City or around the sub 5, I mean, dumping is a huge thing there. Like it's never really, it's impossible to really catch people who know how to do it the right way. But Total Wood penalizes people from sandbagging, because if you were to give half the prize fund to the teams that are knocking down the most pins, then you're penalizing yourself for dumping.
I thought about that too. Like in terms of my idea about the blind handicap. Well, you said, well, what would the standings be based on? And when I originally thought about that idea, I thought, well, you would base it on the scratch pinfall, right? You would base it on scratch, and you could base the league schedule and knockdowns and everything on scratch. And maybe you could even have 2 separate prize funds. One prize fund for the scratch standings, one prize fund for the handicap standings. Now, I'm not suggesting that those prize funds be equal. You know, maybe the scratch prize fund is much less a piece of the pie than the handicap prize fund, the blind handicap prize fund. But listen, I'm sorry. I just can't believe this is the way we're doing handicap leagues. Call me ignorant if you want. I was sort of unaware of this until this was brought up to me last week. I'm just blown away. I'm blown away that, like, this is where we're at and this is what we're doing. And I think something radical has to change, you know, in order to get this in line.
Hear me out here. I think if Kevin is right, I didn't go to college long enough to comprehend Mike's league. I mean, either I'm a little bit lost.
Kevin, what is so hard about it? You go out, you bowl your best every week. So everybody tries to bowl their best every week. And at the end of the season, based on whatever the handicap rules are, we figure out the averages and we run the handicap. And we do the standings in one night. And we figure out, okay, here's what the standings are.
Listen, bottom line here, in my opinion, is USBC needs to find a way to get rid of the handicap as a whole in the sport. Okay? As long as the handicap exists, people are going to find a way to sandbag and cheat to get more pins. They need to find a fair way across bowling centers in the country to get rid of handicap as a whole in the sport. Now, how they do that, I don't know. I'm not paid to think about doing that, but I think they could find a way to do that with caps, with, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Because you want people to. You want a fair system for low average bowlers, right? But on the other hand, so many people are cheating the system in today's game that there needs to be, I think, a new system, and it needs to be overhauled in a sense. And Kyler Adams bowling, hashtag make all leagues scratch. I think they could do it. It would have to be tuned right to the averages, right? You'd have a low average league, but it would be scratch, but it would be a low average league, right? So, like, I don't know, like, there's got to be a new system or something reevaluated in a whole. The system is broke.
I agree with Frank in the chat. He says Mike's point of tougher conditions makes handicap work. I still stand by that. I agree with that. So let me end this conversation with this, because this is another question that came up in this whole little rabbit hole that I dove down involving the rules for handicap leagues in our current environment. Rob, I hear high average bowlers complain about handicap leagues and say the handicap bowlers have the advantage. I can't win the handicap leagues. But then I hear the handicap bowlers say we can't win the handicap leagues because our averages are constantly updated, and in order to win the handicap league, we have to continuously get better throughout the whole year. Whose side are you on?
First off, people complaining about getting better, that bothers me.
Well, I think it's a legitimate argument, though. I mean, like, for instance, again, to go back to our example, if somebody averages 160 for 99 games and they take lessons over the summer and they learn how to make some spares, and now they come in and they shoot 600, okay? You're saying that their average should go from 160 to 200 immediately. All the 99 games they bowled last year mean nothing. The 3 games they bowled tonight mean everything, and we go based off of that. I'm not okay with that, Rob, because that takes all the advantage away from that person getting better, right? That's why I'm saying that maybe it should be calculated in as 102 games. You know, it should be the 600 plus that divided by the 102 games, right?
Yeah.
Give that person at least a few. Now, again, if that person shoots 600 the next week, their average is going up again. And they shoot 600 next week, their average is going up again. So eventually they're going to catch up very quickly, right? They're not going to have that advantage forever. I'm not saying their average should stay at 160 for the entire year. That's not my point, okay, to be clear. But what I am saying is that as the bowling community, that person who improves should get more out of their improvement than and especially when you consider that the 225 average bowler is coming in those first 3 weeks dumping and getting the 10-pin drop. I mean, that is so ass backwards, I can't even wrap my head around it.
I think, like, from the example we're talking about, the cap situation that I talked about, where you have 4 bowlers and they have to fit into a cap in a scratch league, I think the 160 bowler who's able to fit in with 4 bowlers and make that cap, that's a huge advantage if that 160 bowler improved over the summer and is now a 200 average bowler bowling in a league that's capped, right? And then they have the whole year bowling together with this essential guy or woman started as entering 160 and now finishes 200. But, you know, now the league is over, then you have to obviously maybe get rid of a bowler because you can't fit on that cap anymore. So like I said, like my example of resolving it that could work because you're not it's benefiting that 160 bowler getting better, your whole team. It's like, I'm in fantasy football. Like, it's like when you draft a player in the 10th round and they're giving you 3rd round production, you have that player for the whole year. But then the next year when you redraft, now that player ends up in the 3rd round, and then you have to find that 10th round player again that's going to give you 3rd round production. So I think bowling in general, I get what you're saying. Nowhere in the bowling world should you ever get penalized for getting better. If the system is promoting someone to not get better, there's a big problem. And you see that all the time in handicap tournaments and handicap leagues where this guy or lady who is averaging 150 or 160 and they're dumping, bowl these big ABT tournaments where first place is 25, 50,000, 100,000. I've seen these top prizes at ABTs, and they're getting rewarded for sandbagging in 150 and then winning these big tournaments and making a lot of money and continuously doing it and never getting better. Or even trying to get better. And I think that's where USBC needs to step in because that's not protecting the integrity of the sport. And that's what one of their main jobs is.
Complicit. The C, Jimmy said it. The C in USBC stands for complicit. All right, let's move forward, Rob.
Yeah, let's do it. What's next on the hit list? You want to go worst of the week? We're ready to move on.
I mean, do you want to get to the video or?
Oh, yeah, we got to talk a little bit about the video because at this point, the video is going to end up by the end of next week. Everybody's going to be seeing that video. It's going to be all over the bowling media world and the internet. I'd see a million people picking this up. But let's play it. I don't think we can get in trouble for playing it, right, Mike?
Who knows?
Hold on. Let me pause this and let me share the screen here. I'll get rid of some of these stuff here. So, Mike, explain the video, what we're about to watch while I'm about to share this.
I don't want to explain it before we watch it. I would say play it and we'll just give the breakdown.
Okay. To share a tab, Chrome tab. Am I doing that one? No, I'm doing this one. Okay. Okay. You're all ready?
All right. So what we have here, for those of you that might just be listening to the podcast and not watching, we have a video up of a regional taking place, regional stepladder taking place earlier today, and it's Chris Prather. Okay, it's Chris Prather, and he's about to throw a shot in the 10th frame. I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing what the score is.
Oh, I'll tell you. Chris has a 158 on an open in the 9th, and Alec Keplinger has a 151 in the 8th on a strike. So this match is almost out of the gate. If Chris strikes out in the 10th, he bowls 188, which would force Alec to mark in the 10th to win. So he's got to strike out to force Alec to mark.
Okay. Go ahead.
You could hear the audio, Mike.
Sweeping 10 additional pins off the rack. Oh, are you kidding me again? I don't think Chris Prather left one of those all weekend.
Pause. So he leaves the 7-10, okay? And you hear $2 Phil say, "Oh, again." So there must be some context here. In full disclosure, I didn't watch this live. This was alerted to us. People were alerting us to this. He says again, so I would imagine there must have been a previous bad break. Yes, people were saying that Prather 7-10 in the 8th frame as well.
He did.
Okay, so now he's 7-10s in the 10th frame. So after he's 7-10s, for those of you just listening, he takes the ball off the rack. He puts it on the approach. Go ahead, Rob. Hit play. And he kicks the ball down the approach.
Is that going to get
down the
out of the way of the rake? Yikers.
Pause. The ball hits the rack. He kicks the ball down the lane, and the timing on the kick is bad. The timing on the kick is bad, and it hits the rack. It doesn't – I wouldn't say it aggressively hits the rack. It softly hits the rack, but it hits the rack, okay? And it kind of just stays on the lane, right? It stays right there, just sits in the middle of the lane. So what happens next is you see Prather start to walk up the concourse of the lane. Okay, go ahead, play.
Chris is going to recover that himself.
The play-by-play is even better.
Yeah, I don't. I get the frustration level for Chris. I really do, but
Mike, he then kicks the ball in the gutter back down the lane.
My favorite part is that as he's walking down, the ball slowly comes over to his side and falls in the gutter right where he's walking to. So he just easily walks down the capping units and kicks the ball down the gutter into the back.
Let's listen to more commentary here about him walking. This is the walk of shame if I've ever seen it, walking down the lane here.
Forgot that the machines here at community lane, so a little slower than your normal A2s, and Chris taking the walk of shame off the lanes here.
Phil said the walk of shame.
The walk of shame. He hit him with the walk of shame.
Don't know if there's going to be a little chat with him after it's done.
Yeah, he's probably going to get penalty. I mean, he's probably going to get fined, I would imagine, for doing that. I mean, you would think, right? Like that's not very sportsmanlike from a pro bowling a tournament. Jeremy Price.
This is a great comment from Jeremy Price. Jeremy Price says pain, misery, and depression. Yep. Yes, sir.
Anyway, all right. So that was the end of the video, Mike.
That is awesome. That is all. I mean, I love it. Who hasn't been there? Who hasn't been there? Who hasn't either done that in some way or wanted to do that? Okay. I mean, granted, it's unfortunate for him that his timing was off on the kick and he hit the rack. If he doesn't hit the rack, we're not even talking about this. right? If he doesn't hit the rack, we're not. But bold move, Chris Prather. Bold move to then walk down the capping unit and take care of it yourself. Charlie Tapp is in the chat saying he's never seen anything like it. Me either, Tapper. Me either, bro. Never seen a bowler in a competition like that hit the rack and then say, yeah, I'll go take care of that myself.
That's too funny. All right, Mike, you ready to wrap up here?
Let's do it. All right, I'll go first here. I have mine up and ready, and I'm sorry to give this person worst of the week. I am. It's not often that I feel bad about giving somebody worst of the week, but I do. With my selection this week, I do feel somewhat bad. There's a gentleman who lives around my area somewhere, and he runs the Facebook page Jersey Shore Bowling Memories. Okay, and I just happen to see a lot of content from this page. And he posts a lot of cool stuff, a lot of advertisements and pictures and memorabilia and things of this nature. And his name is Patrick Leon Assay. And he's a local bowler. He always posts pictures at some of the places that I'm constantly at. And he posts a lot on this Facebook page that he's the moderator of. And he's good moderator. He's not like the USBC discussion board moderators, okay, who are a little over the top, right? He seems like a pretty normal guy. But I apologize, Patrick Leon, to say I have to give you worst of the week this week, bro. And here's why I have to give him worst of the week. So he put up this post. Are you ready? I'm going to read the post. My top 5 players in PBA history based on multiple criteria, including but not limited to number of national titles, years it took to accumulate those titles, impact on the game, and more. Okay? His top 5, dead or alive. Okay? That's what he's saying. He gave you the criteria. Okay?
Mount Rushmore.
All right? Top 5. Number 5, Mark Roth. Number 4, Pete Weber. Number 3, Norm Duke. Number 2, Walter Ray. Number 1, Earl Anthony.
Oh, so he left Belmo out. Is that where the worst of the week is? Someone who impacted the game? Yeah, you can't leave Belmo off that list.
Most majors ever. Impact on the game. Number of titles. Time to accumulate those titles. If you look at time to accumulate titles, Belmo may deserve to be number 1 on that list if we're talking time to accumulate titles.
Agree.
Okay. How about EJ Tackett too? I mean, maybe not in the impact on the game category, quote unquote. And not to get into a debate here, but Pete Weber debate. Impact on the game.
Yes. Pete Weber definitely impact. I mean, outside of the game,
positively or negatively,
doesn't matter. Impact is impact.
Oh,
we're gonna save this. We're tabling this conversation.
Okay, I know. I'm going to get you upset. I'm going to get you all riled up.
Log off, all steaming mad.
Yeah, I'm going to get a phone call after this podcast.
We're finishing the conversation.
Don't you ever talk about my guy that way.
Never disrespect me, making sure you don't ever talk about Pete Weber.
That's my worst of the week, though. I'm sorry. Patrick, I say, you seem like a really nice dude. I hope we run into each other at some point. I'll say what's up. But I gotta disagree with you on this one, bro. Gotta have Belmo on that list.
Belmo for sure.
Likely gotta have Tackett on that list too.
It's
hard to take somebody off, but
I don't know if we're there yet.
Okay.
With Tackett, I think we will be there soon enough. Mine's an easy, quick one. I don't think there's even any commentary needed, but I think I'm in a new bowling group. I don't know. Maybe I just joined it and they just approved it like months ago. Bowling is a sport. Dale Black, you win worst of the week. So can I establish an average bowling between my legs? Just what you said, Mike.
I mean, apropos for our discussion tonight. Now,
That's why I have it. I knew what we were talking about. This is the yes. I can't even. There's no commentary for that. All right, Mike. Let's wrap this up here. We'll find my little thing here.
this could be an interesting debate. We don't have time, but Ernest Lukács in the chat. What's up, Ernest? Says in what I was saying, swap Norm Duke for Belmo. That would be an interesting question. Like, if you're going to put Belmo in that top 5, who do you take out of there? Who do you take out of that top 5? That's tough. That's tough. I'm not gonna lie, Ernie. That's a tough one, but I would probably agree with you there. Tapper Charlie Tapp wants to shout out his wife, who was recently elected to the USBC Hall of Fame. Congrats to Mrs. Tapp. Okay. Nico pointing out that Shannon Polhowski, one of the goats, one of the lefty female goats, doing goat things, quietly winning the tour championship, having a quiet season with a couple titles and a major again. So yeah, impressive to see. Definitely impressive to see. Rob, any final thoughts?
No, Jeff Riggles put a good article up a couple days ago about the USBC Hall of Fame class of 2026. So if you're a subscriber, I would go check out. Believe there was 6 that were elected in the USBC Hall of Fame class of 2026. One of the people I think we actually talked about, Michelle Feldman, we definitely bring up all the time. She's someone who moved the chain in women bowling. I mean, physically just dominant. I mean, as a bowler. So, we grew up watching Michelle Feldman as on TV when the women were on TV before it went off. So, yeah, I saw that Charlie Tapp's wife, was a Marlis, right? I think. And then, yeah, there was a few others that got in. So if you could check out that article, it's a good read. But yeah.
I used to watch Michelle Feldman bowl on the women's shows and then go try and practice and throw like her.
Yeah. No one ever even seen a woman bowl like that, I think, until she got on the lanes, and you're like, holy crap, throwing messengers when no other women were throwing messengers at the time. So, yeah. Oh, Nico says that Dallas Leong won the New Mexico Open. Doesn't surprise me. He's a very good shot maker, and that shot is very hard. And Dallas, I believe, was on tour last year. I believe he was exempt.
I watched a little bit over the weekend. There were quite a few big name players in the running there too. I know Simonson was one of them. Nate Stubler was there near the end. Quite a good mix. I enjoyed watching when I was able to tune in. I was quite busy over the weekend, but yeah, I did get a chance to tune in here and there and hear our guy Mike Flanagan doing the commentary and doing the stream. So yeah, that was cool. It was good to check out. That Dallas had a real good look. The way they were playing, they were real tight, and just the way he plays them straight angles through the front seemed to be real successful. So I'm not surprised to hear he won. My final thought, Rob, is I want to know, show of hands, how many people heard the story last week from the New York Post is where I saw it. Headline is exclusive. Son of Virginia bowling billionaire cheats on wife with their 4 kids' former nanny. Okay. Anybody heard the story?
No.
All right. You want to know who the bowling billionaire is? It's the guy who owned AMF. Okay.
What was his name?
His son. I don't know. I didn't look up the name, but it's his son that they're talking about in this article.
Bowling billionaires, the AMF guy who
the family that owned AMF, right? Before obviously it was bought by Bolero and all that. We're talking about AMF when they owned all the centers, AMF when they had the bowling ball company, equipment company. I mean, they did everything at one time in bowling. They were doing equipment, operating bowling centers, bowling center equipment. Okay. And, apparently the guy became a billionaire, I guess, off of his investments in AMF. And his son is now in the newspaper because he's cheating on his wife of 4 kids with their former nanny. So yeah, I just found it interesting. We can't even catch a break in the news headlines. Okay, bowling can't even catch a break in the news headlines. All right, we got sons of former bowling royalty. All right, running around cheating on their wives with nannies. Okay, bad luck. We got college bowling coaches running around cheating on their wives with their players. Bad look. Okay, these are just bad looks. We need to chill. All right,
We got guys getting arrested in mid majors. Like, I mean, think about it.
The bowling community needs to chill, man. The bowling community needs to chill. I'm gonna leave it at that for tonight. Yo, check us out. Check us out on social media. Subscribe, like.
Get us to Darren Tang levels.
Rob is getting run off of Twitter, so he hasn't been on Twitter all week. Hopefully, he's back soon. But he's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215. I'm still very active on there. Check me out. Give me a follow. I'm always talking bowling. We appreciate everybody joining us in the chat. We appreciate everybody listening to this. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. If you want your Sweep the Rack merch, go to Inside Bowling Content Creators, Sweep the Rack. Use Patch Pirate for 15% off. Code Patch Pirate. That's it, Rob. We'll see the people next week, bro.
All right. Later, all.
Later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.